Good morning everybody, a very warm welcome. Welcome to Carnation Crafts TV. I'm Dave Bradford and Carla, Taz and myself are with you for the next hour for this fantastic launch. Now we were talking before we came on air today, I've been doing crafting TV now for 20 years. In each one of those 20 years, I've never ever seen anything quite like this today. We're talking about the amazing brand new exclusive collection from Carnation that you can order right now, Floral Embrace. Now if you love flowers, if you love dimension, then this is going to be right up your street, because this is paper engineering of the most exquisite, the most beautiful that I've ever seen. What we mean by paper engineering is three-dimensional flowers that you can construct, that you can put together to make wonderful arrangements just like this. You can make bouquets. You can make gorgeous collections where maybe you can't take real flowers for whatever reason. You can now take a three-dimensional paper bouquet or paper arrangement that you have put together, that you have made. I've never seen anything like it. Carnation are groundbreaking. They always have been, always will be. But both myself, Taz, Carla, everyone today was just in absolute awe. I've got to let you know that already today, and this was just after a little tease that Carla gave you on Facebook last night, 15% of a massive stock has gone, and we predicted that this was going to be popular, so they got more of this available for you. So it's been incredibly busy. What do you get? Floral Embrace basically is everything that you can see in front of you here. We've got a discount code as well, which if you don't use it, you won't get that extra 10% off. The price if you use the discount code is just over £98. It's CCFE10. Okay, pop that into the promo code box at checkout, CCFE10. You will get this amazing collection of flowers, of foliage, of stems. You get the most amazing halo card shaped base, which is what you can see here, that becomes the base, but also it becomes the background. You've got the corners, you've got the tags down there as well, which you can see at the bottom, which of course you can put into your floral arrangement. It's 230911. You can order it now. It is available on PayPal Pay in 3, also on ClearPay. Now if you want to use PayPal Pay in 3, it's £32.99 per month. If you're going for ClearPay, that's 4 payments of £24.75. Free UK P&P, of course, because it's over £50. We always do that at Carnation for you. But what about this? How do you put the flowers together? Order it now, but at the same time you're ordering it, take a look at this. Just stunning. That's the only word I can use. Stunning. You can make three-dimensional flowers, make them into bouquets, make them into arrangements. Both Carla and myself both said, looked at this card and said, I love this. Look at this dimension. If I just turn it around, look how deep and how beautiful these beautiful purple flowers are. I haven't got a name for that one, but I do for this one. Pam Simpson. Thanks to all the design team, you can really tell they've enjoyed working with these. This is another really spectacular dimensional card here I don't want to tip it up because I think the name's on the bottom. No, no name on that one. But look at that. It is a floral arrangement. You don't have to water it. The petals aren't going to drop off. You don't have to kind of pay an awful lot of money each week to replace real flowers. They are just spectacular. Whether it's a celebration, whether it's a sad occasion, doesn't really make much difference really, because the flowers are appropriate wherever you use them and whatever you use them for. Janine Dawson, another stunning card here. So whether you're using the actual base as a base or whether you're using it as a background, Pam Simpson's done this one. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. As I say, I've been doing this job for about 20 odd years in different guises for different places with craft, and I've never ever seen anything like it. It gives you potential to be imaginative, to be creative. Rather than just stamping something, die cutting it out, you're actually making something into something of beauty that's got dimension, that's got that depth and character. It's just stunning. So 230911, lots of you are ordering it right now. We have one of the biggest responses on Facebook with that little tease that Carla gave you yesterday. So expecting today to be incredibly busy. Don't forget, you won't get that $98.99 price unless you use the discount code, which is CCFE10, and it's under £100 if you order it with that discount code for one, I think, one of the most stunning collections that Carnation have done. As I say, I'm not on my own. Taz is over there pushing all the buttons, and we've got Carla sat next to me with all of the inspiration.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Hey,
Are you all right?
I'm very well, very well. How about this?
We've got a fan, but I'm very warm. How beautiful to have something that we construct that's a carnation floral. The one thing, because Carnation's mainstay is florals, isn't it? It's the one thing that they do better than any other company. And to have that, to be able to construct and build those 3D elements that are just going to take us through our card making journey, it's an incredibly important piece that we're getting here. And when we start to look at what we can build, how we can shape and sculpt with this paper in order to be able to bring in full dimension. So this isn't just about decoupage, although for those of you that love decoupage, man, has it got every element for it. But it's also about learning to sculpt, learning to shape, learning to build, so we can just create just extraordinary cards. All designed also so that the little tuck-in at the front can come out and can be folded flat, so you can actually still post it. And the thing being from that, we can then take that to something that is much more pared back and much more simple. And you get both of those options, obviously. Think back to other Carnation collections that you've got as well, where we can start to use the construct of the card shape, the stems. We can also use all of the different elements in loads of different variants. So what that means is, as far as value is concerned, in my humble opinion, this is probably the most valuable piece you'll ever buy from Carnation. It's going to have the most longevity of all the pieces that we buy, because it's got that construction element and it's going to go in for all cards, isn't it? And also, more to the point, I've never seen anything like it in my journey through crafting as far as card making is concerned.
And flowers never go out of fashion.
No, Dave, not like you and me.
Exactly.
I think we went out of fashion quite some years ago. Right, we're going to have a look at the boards and we will demo. We're going to keep showing you these samples because that's where you're seeing what you're doing with it, but I will demo it for you too.
Look at this halo base. It's amazing.
It's incredible, isn't it? I think you can see it so much better than when I did the Facebook Live by seeing it on the overhead there and seeing the elements that come forward for it. We've got corner elements that sit here, as you can see, and they're really important, but they've also got their own mats and layers, and that means that if you're waiting for something like an 8x8, we can start raising those points. You've got the beautiful halo shape, and if you can just take a second to look at the embossing, the deep emboss that we get from this along the banner piece as well. Now this is an arm essentially that lifts and it curves round and cups itself, and the two little tabs at the bottom tuck, and they can tuck straight into the little holes that are here, so you can create different shapes from it. You can have them in a band like we've got sitting on the sample here. I'll just bring it in on the overhead so you can see, so that band that's tucking at the front, or you could have it long stem, so you could have them going into here, and by that I mean something along these lines. I'm showing you it specifically here, so you can see how that sits that way. And what that gives us is a completely different cue, a completely different element to be able to see how we can build, construct and design in any which way we want, not how we're dictated. This has always been a big thing for me with Carnation. I don't like my artwork being dictated. I like to fly with what I'm doing. I know you guys do too. And Carnation gives us the tools to be able to just play, right? And this is where Carnation differ. So the big thing to remember here is what Carnation give us that other companies don't is a mirrored vignette. That's a mirrored piece of artwork. It means that when we have a floral or we have anything with Carnation, we can view it on the one side, but on the other side, you still maintain the colour. Why is that important? Well, this collection would not work, not remotely work, if I couldn't have the same colour on the back and on the front, because as I'm looking construction wise, and I'm just going to show you the back of this on the overhead, as I'm looking at this construction wise, that's the back. If everything I had from the front was white, that just would not work.
No, look awful.
It would look awful. It would look cheap. But because we have that beautiful dynamic potential that's built up with mirrored vignettes, we get to go further, right? And that's so exciting. And it's one of my favourite things all at once.
If you look at a vase of flowers, the back of the flower's not white. You need to have the colour there. So the mirrored vignettes are game changers, definitely. And then it makes more of an ornament rather than a card. It can be a card, obviously, of course it can. But to have something ornamental that's as beautiful from the front, from the side, from the back, game changer.
So looking at you, Dave. And then we move from that card shape, which is ever important. So you have got your mats and layers, and I will go through it because you've got these different lines at the bottom here that can be moved to extend however long you want that card base to be. And you can have the over the edge here. But we're going to move from there and we're going to go to this set of lovelies, and they're so gorgeous. Now you'll notice that this is what is essentially what we would know in the past as being like a blurred vignette. It's not the same that we normally get, these two and the white ones, and that's very specifically because we're building. We build and we build and we build. The elements come in, so you've got the shaded point on the inside, you've got the more detailed element on the outside, and that's because we are intending to decoupage up and up and up. And that's going to go through, and you've got that beautiful stem with the calyx there. Really, really gorgeous. And it's just a really beautiful part of the, what we're working with today. So that one is called your Reaching High 3D Floral Heads. From there, you've got your tags. So these are just beautiful. The idea being, when you get things from a florist, I know that there is a name for this. I've got no clue what it is, but you get from the florist and it sort of tucks into the flowers with a little label attached. Well, that's what this is, essentially. Gorgeous sentiments, each one with a mat. But I have to say, if you don't use the mat and you just glue them straight on, they look exquisite. They're so, so lovely. Judy Reynolds just got here. OMG, they are gorgeous. Are they postable? Well, Carnation never lets down with thought. So what we've got here, if you just watch this untuck, that untucks. We untuck this leg as well, and that will just fold. It won't fold flat because we're 3D in the flowers, but with much less dimension.
Totally postable.
It's totally postable.
Actually, talking about that, all of the finished samples that we have delivered here to the studio for us to be able to show you all get posted. They get posted and shipped to Carnation. They then ship it to our studio. None of them were crushed. They were all in pristine condition, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my advice is if you're sending this, pop a little bit of bubble wrap around it. Just protect them a little bit because you don't want them breaking. They're so stunning. But to have that is just gorgeous. So you've got your labels there as well. But then this, if that does not strike you down, I don't know what does. That's the most incredible board. It's a cacophony of colour, but it's also just this insane amount of potential, isn't it? What can we do with all of this? There's so many options that come in. Now you've got your long line grass here. That's going to give you potential for the front of your vases. It's also, if we're making normal cards, going to give you a perspective point at the back with a little more detailed in it. So it's important in both play ways. You've got this stem here, which has got the little bobble heads on it, and that is so that we can create the pivot head florals that Nick's designed for us. So you've got the little flowers here. So for instance, your little purples, you can create buds, you can create little flowers coming on those. You just stick one to each dot after you've shaped it out. Lots and lots of different ways. Gorgeous foliage in this collection. This is a right little corker and sits either in front or behind your large florals with leaves stemming from either side, and it looks beautiful. And we've also got this most gorgeous piece. I love this. And these are your stems. Then these are your more detailed flowers, and you've got all of your different pieces. You can see the decoupage building. When we start to play with this, you're going to see where the potential lies. I've got to say, I don't know how long this will last. I think it's going to fly. I mean, I think we can see that, can't we? That it's going to be the most extraordinary sort of, because what can't we do with it? That's the thing. And aperture cards coming in as well. These are truly, truly beautiful. So that is your floral floral, yeah, I've got it, hold on. Floral embrace, floral enchantment. I might have another show coming up with that word in it at some point soon.
Again, we're having a massive response on Facebook and on YouTube as well. Dawn Churchill-Watson, hello to you. Pearl Farrier, Yvonne Hodge, Karen Vincent. Fiona Abbott says, watching from a breezy but sunny Skiathos, one of my favourite places in the world. Enjoy, Fiona. Don't know if you live there. I'd like to live there one day. Yvonne Hodge, hi to you. Jenny West as well in sunny Dorset. Just massive, massive reaction to this. Dawn Churchill-Watson says, oops, I'm really on the naughty step this time. Kate Jude says, ordered mine last night. Can't wait until tomorrow for it to come, from Kate Jude. Susan Kempster as well. Now, that's only part of our show today. And remember, the code is there for all of you to enjoy. CCFE10. If you put that into the promo box, that will take the price down to that $98.99 price, saving you about £10 off the price. Free delivery as well. But imagine the fun you're going to have putting these floral creations together. Who are they for? Are they for friends, family? Are you going to be selling your cards? The number of comments I see on social media in general that say, I bought Carnation Crafts dies, I downloaded, printed off the vignettes. They're always the cards that sell first. Whenever I'm selling them at church halls, at Christmas fairs, wherever it may be, it's always the Carnation Crafts cards that people go to. They gravitate towards the luxury and the beauty. We have also got something else in the show. Now, I said at the beginning of this show that 15% of a massive stock of this had gone last night. We've also got a brand new collection of beautifully designed nesting dies. Now, 20% of the stock of this went last night as well. And it's not one collection, you're actually going to get 7 different nesting die collections in a beautiful design. I've never seen nesting dies like these.
No, they're stunning. You know, nested dies are my favourite, and I just always think they're worth the value in money. I'll run through them fairly quickly because the design point remains the same, but I do want to show you the shapes. So they're just really, really gorgeous. You've got this beautiful flourish. You've got that gorgeous teardrop shape coming through, but they cut so beautifully. They've got, I can't explain it. They've got this really, really, what's the word? Thick, beautiful, kind of embossed line. It's so pretty, and there's so much we can do with them.
Carla, can I just interrupt you?
Yeah,
I've just been told 20% of the entire stock of the main collection is now gone. So that means 5%'s gone in 15 minutes of being on air this morning. So there is a big, big surge. Get your order in. Don't want you to be disappointed. I don't want you to miss out on this.
So let me just talk to you a minute about the teardrop and sweep. We don't understand you either, Dave. So you've got these. I just want to show you the metal in them just to explain very quickly. You can see where I've been using mine. But what they've got is the main on the outside die. Then you've got your insert, which is the shape that we're getting for here. So if you wanted to cut this, you could just simply do those two, and that will give you the big base there. Or I can cut this out as well and use and create a border. So think of the apertures. Think of where we're going as far as apertures are concerned. You can use all 3. So it's up to you what you do. You've got all the different shapes and sizes, and they're just stunning. So I'll run through the different shapes that you're getting. These are going to be, I mean, they're certainly already one of my favourites. I've got a few favourite of the nested. I love nested dies so much. These are going to just be up there. We've got the ovals sitting there, and we go there to the DL shapes. DL always my favourite. I love them.
I mean, basically, you've got every shape you could ever want in this collection.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the most impressive set of nesteds. You've then got your squares.
Or diamonds.
Or diamonds. We worked out yesterday that the highest was going to be 8 inches. This one I think is 6.5 by 6.5, or 6 by 6. So lots of different playways going. I love the hexagon so much. There's so much potential there for gorgeous, gorgeous cards. Think of the apertures that we can make with this. It's absolutely extraordinary. Love the circle. And I love the fact that Carnation don't stop, because a lot of companies would give you the last nested here and that's your lot, that's what you get in, but they give you the extras because we can use them, and so you get that extra piece of metal. Would you notice if we didn't have it? Probably not, but the fact that we do get it means we've got more options, because they're great for stamping on and they're great for doing all your little labels, different variants. You've got your diamond shape here, which is just beautiful, the gorgeous flow line. This works so well if you're putting on, say, a DL card, and you put this on the top of a DL just to create a bit of height and a different shaping. They're so pretty.
And you can use it landscape too.
You can use it landscape as well. We've then got obviously your rectangle too. I think that's your lot. Just stunning. That's an impressive size for that big one. Just think of your mats and your layers coming through on this. Just impressive. Absolutely gorgeous. Really, it looks like you're walking into an Alice in Wonderland or at the end, but it is just absolutely gorgeous. Not into my wardrobe, Dave. You would not get into that, let's just say.
So if you fancy that collection then, because they're very different and they're very beautiful, 230915 is the item number. As I say, 20% of the stock of that went last night, just on that little tease that Carla gave you on Facebook, and a massive response for that, as well as the main collection today. A quick word about that main collection, and importantly the vignettes. Okay, now the vignettes are basically the artwork that supports the dies, which is absolutely free to print off, not today but from tomorrow at carnationcrafts.co.uk. okay, so place your order for the dies today, go on their website tomorrow, then you can print off as many of the sheets of the vignettes as you want, single-sided or double-sided. I think probably more than ever the double-sided really come into their own with this collection, so that you can see the beauty of the flower at the back as well as the beauty of the flower at the front. So they will be available for you to print off free of charge at carnationcrafts.co.uk from tomorrow, Tuesday. Okay, now also we always bring you the beautiful perfect papers. Now, although we call them perfect papers, they are not paper, they are cardstock. They're 300 GSM, so gorgeous thick quality, 48 A4 sheets, and the important thing is always the colour. The colour of this cardstock has been matched to perfection to complement the colour of the flowers. Okay, so if you sometimes go a little bit wrong, as we all have done in the past, where something has clashed, one red doesn't match the next, or the one pink doesn't match the next, these are all going to work so well with your main artwork, the vignettes. So 48 sheets. Some of them are plain and block colour. Others have got like a flourish pattern and a floral pattern running through them as well. That's something relatively new that Carnation are doing. But it is available if you'd like it at $14.99. And a quick word, if you're watching us in the USA, you too can also order, and your shipping and handling will be $14.95 if you go for the main die collection and the perfect papers. But of course, if you just go for the main collection, then of course you don't have to pay that price. But I just, before we go into demo, just want to show you and credit again some more of the amazing design team. Look at this. Using this beautiful base, or this wonderful, wonderful halo. I wonder where my halo had gone. Slipped years ago, Carla.
Did you ever have one?
Yeah, back in the day. Janine Dawson has done this one. Janine, absolutely stunning. There's that little tag that Carla was talking about that you can tuck into your floral arrangement. Another beautiful one here. It's the dimension of it that really gets me. Vera Bow. Hi, Vera. Stunning.
Oh, they're so gorgeous.
And using some of those nesting dies. So they work together with this collection so well. Another one quickly on an 8x8 card blank to give you an idea. Sue Darimple. Hi, Sue. Another stunning collection. So it's a card, but it's an ornament at the same time. Oh, you shouldn't have bothered. Thanks. She bought me some flowers.
I didn't buy you flowers, Dave. I can buy myself flowers, in the words of Ms. Miley Cyrus. So basically what we have got here is the construct. Now very purposefully I've made some up in advance so it doesn't take so long to do them, but also what I've done with all of them, you can see with this one where you've got the weight on it, I've done them all with a single stem. Now what I'll say to you is you're probably not going to want to do single stems, and I won't be keeping mine as simple single stems. But as far as sculpting and constructing is concerned, it's important to think about the weight of paper that you're using and why you're using it and what you're going to be able to discern from it. So if I use something like this where it's heavily weighted on the top and the stem is just one, there's a chance, a potential for it to bend over. Now that might be what I want as part of my constructs, but what I really want to do is support them, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a second. So what I want to say to you is, where you're using your mirrored vignette, the best thing you can do usually is to print on 120 Pro Print. When that comes out, it's a 240, and I still stand by that. it's easy on your printer as well, right? So do that, but put 2 stems together if you want it to be supple and strong. Put 3 stems together if you want it absolutely to be unbendable. Just use 1 if you want a natural bend. Now, the best thing I can tell you to do is just on normal pieces of paper, get a pokey and start to try and manipulate your stems. If you can manipulate it really, really easily, like this, it probably means that your stem is not thick enough.
Right.
If you are wanting it to stand straight, you're going to need a little bit more thickness on that, and that's what I'm going to do with mine. I'm just going to add another stem in it. But what I want to say about the stems more particularly, they've each got, let me find a flat one.
Sue Harnett, by the way, says that those little cards in floral arrangements are called cardettes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
That's cute to know. So these, you won't be able to see it too well on the overhead or anywhere else really, but they've got this really tiny score line in it, really tiny. Now you can just poke it and push it and allow it to just bend over. It's probably easier to just use your scoreboard and just allow it, because it is such a tiny piece. I tend to just go down with my pokey, get it to take hold, and then you can just work your way along, and that bends the stem and that strengthens it for us. So it's how you want to play, but that's my advice. You choose to go whichever way you find the easiest, and we're just going to whack 2 of those on together just to create strength. So where I've got my floral here, and we showed you at the beginning that VT where you see it all being made. Now, one of the things, I taught you an awful lot about everyday glue, and I taught you an awful lot about applicators, but never have your applicators been more useful than in today's collection.
Totally, yeah.
Because your applicators are about to become your absolute bestie. We're going to take this.
How much do you get in a tub? Is it 100?
100,
Right.
and they're reusable as well.
I know
So
on
they're
the website,
just,
if you want them.
they've got this long fuzzy, and the long fuzzy is always useful, but more so in this collection than ever. Why? Because we're working with the mountain and valley folds of the stems. So this is going to allow me to get in there. It's not bulbous, it's not a ball. It's going to allow me to long line down. So what that means is where my stem has got that valley fold, which we just did with the ball tool, I can then take my adhesive. You would do this before you put the flower head on normally. I just needed to make mine up for demo. But I can now take my glue and I can run it straight down, because my applicator is going to allow me that ease of use. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is take my flower, add my pivot head to the same point. You would do these separately, and it's often better to do it flat than it is to score it first. It's up to you which way you like. Once you've done your valley fold, they're just going to slip inside each other anyway, so that's absolutely fine. But what happens here is I'm getting this super strong stem. Now I'm going to need to leave that to dry, but that is then going to allow this to stand and protrude. And that means when I'm making something like this, where you've got that beautiful lift and they're coming through, they're super strong. Can you see?
So you've used two
stems.
halos, one for the base, one for the back.
That's on this one, yeah.
Yep.
You've got the 2 halos, one on your base card, one on the back of it as well. It's up to you how many you use. I'll show you the halo in a second. But the construct has to be strong. You have to make it strong. No point sitting here saying, just use 1 stem, it'll be fine. Sometimes, yeah, that's right, but other times you're going to need it to be strong. But now I've got this really strong supple flower, so I've got things that I can do with it. Let's have a look at the halo card base so we can see what that's all about, how it works, how it's constructed, and then we can start to work out how to build that together. So this has got a band on it, and we're going to score that over just on this side.
Has that actually got artwork? Is there a vignette for that, or is that the embossing that's giving you the pattern?
I think there's an artwork for it, Dave, because
Wow.
you've got all your colour on here.
Right.
And so we've got these pieces, and you can see I've got little flaps here. So I can turn this, I'm going to turn it into a belt. If you're going to keep it straight and you're not going to be posting it, you can glue that. There's no reason to. But what I can do is push that down. So my little tabs disappear. Pull them back. And then I've got a wee little hole, a wee little pokey just here. Okay, now what I've been tending to do is you can leave them both flat like that, or If I can grab it, Carla, put your glasses on, love, so you can see what you're doing. Hold on, let me just separate those out. There you go. I've been tending to do that and leave them that way. It tends to lock it better as a mechanism. And it sits, so we have this beautiful, beautiful vase. Isn't it gorgeous?
Lovely.
And options here. Do I want my florals to stand forward this way, or do I want my florals to stand that way? Entirely up to me. Now I can use the band on the separate pieces also. I don't need to always have it as a belt. I can have them standing round. We can add extra pieces to them. Entirely what you want it to be, how you want to construct it. I like being in control of stuff. It means something to me as an artist. I'm sure it means something to you. When you take your halo card shape, you're going to cut out your base plate, your biggest die, once 350. Please, please, please use 350. We need to support these florals, okay? 350 is going to give you that lovely, lovely weighted base that we're looking for. I've then taken some of the perfect papers, and I got to tell you, and Taz said it this morning as well, the perfect papers in this collection have got the most delicious sets of colours. Yep. They're so peaceful and lovely, and this is no exception, that gorgeous peach tone.
Again, Sue's saying on Facebook, can imagine all white with just a hint of colour as wedding table arrangements. Absolutely. Endless uses. Absolutely right. Or maybe you want to offer the gift of being able to provide wedding stationery to someone. I mean, that's the sort of thing that if you had it professionally made by a stationer would cost you hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
I've done a few white on white demos. We'll have a look as we're going through, because the colour that Nick and the team have done is just exquisite. So I'm just going to lay that down so I've got that beautiful half circle. Now this, you're going to want to do one of two things. My advice when you're making this, right? The problem that you've got with it is that your tabs need to go in and out for posting. If I use a wet glue on this, I'm going to struggle. So what you need to do is make sure, if you want to use wet glue, no problem, but you're going to need to use wet glue here and here, here and here, but not on here. You're going to have to leave leeway, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to get your tabs in and out. If you glue too close to those, it's staying there. If you want it to stay there, absolutely, that's a great way to go. But if you want to post it, you're going to really need to use some foam tape, and Nick's left us some very specific spots for us to be able to do that without it showing through, and that's just going to give us some leeway. Now, because I'm going to do demo, I'm going to glue mine down. Just because it's easier for me to do this way, and then in the next show I'll do one on foam tape, so you're seeing both different constructs, both different ways of doing it, because it's important. So we're just going to place this on these edges, just hither. Just put little bits. Now what I can do, because I'm gluing mine down, is put some under those flaps so that they stay and they're locked. Nothing is going to move there. And then just laying that out. Now I prefer it with foam tape. I prefer the height and the distance, but that's going to be a personal call for each person. Joanna, sorry, Carla, what paper card do I buy for the mirror vignettes? The collection is in my basket. Could it be posted after I'm home? Just email customer service at carnationcrafts.co.uk. They will help you with that. Paper card do you buy for the mirrored vignettes? 120 Pro Print, my advice. You can do it heavier.
240.
It becomes 240. You can use two together,
Yeah.
which is going to take you to 480, right? So that would be my advice. Some people, you like to use the thicker ones. It's just how you want to play. But for me, 120 every time, because sometimes I'm going to want those stems to bend a little bit to my will. And so having the lighter will allow me to do that.
So if you are going for the collection and you want the Pro Print paper at the same time, that's on the website. The everyday applicators are on the website. The everyday glue's on the website. Pop it all in into one order if you'd like to, and take advantage of the free P&P because you're buying the main collection. So
what we have here, I'm not going to get them all out. Let me just get the ones I want. Can you see all that? Look at these elements. Aren't they beautiful?
So do you have like a cutting evening where you just kind of print them all out, cut them all out, and then put them in a box? And then you have a construction day? No?
That's what I would do if I was making them myself. But the wonderful, wonderful Lynn at Carnation, who's just my absolute hero, and I love her. She does a lot of my cutting for me, so thank you, Lynn. I wouldn't have the time because there's too many shows, so Lynn will cut things for me. I'll cut extras when I need them. I just want to look at this as being the first one that we're looking at here. So where you've got your petals coming through, this one bends, 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 bends. All right, each one has a separate bending point. Take your ball tool, find an appropriate ball tool for the size of the flower, the petal that we're working with.
How do you know which size ball tool to use then?
You get a feel for it, but listen, if I was to take this and I place it over that petal, it's too big. I'm going to kill the petal. If I take this one, I'm going to be there for hours and I'm going to damage the side of my card. So you're finding your happy medium, which I would say is probably this or this. This is why the ball tools from Carnation are so useful. They're sculpting ball tools. They're designed for paper sculpting. Now, how do you want the flower to look is the question. And because all your florals are going to be different, your sculpting is going to be different depending on where we're playing. So let's turn it so it's face down. I'm going to try and make it so that my edges bulb out. So all I'm going to do, I don't want to touch the inside. See how we've got this shaded area on the inside? I'm not touching that. What I'm going to do is work on the outside of these and just damage. I'm purposefully damaging the weave, the fibers of those papers on the end because I want to manipulate them. So I'm just damaging on that lighter line all the way around. Now what's going to happen is when I then pull that together, it's going to bend backwards on itself. Okay?
So it creates like a trumpet?
It creates the trumpet. Now I can go one step further with that, get my pokey tool and I can curl.
Do you know when they're actually stuck together, they're incredibly strong.
Yeah, they're really strong.
Yeah.
And so I can just pull these round. And then, two choices. We've got a knobbly bobbly at the bottom here. Can you see the knobbly bobbly? So what I can do is either push and put the knobbly bobbly together, but I'm left with a gap and I don't love it. But this petal and this petal are identical. So for me, for my personal preference, what I do is turn them over and I overlap at the back. So one is going to sit directly on top of the other. I'm going to take my adhesive. A bit too much there, Bagshot, and then I am going to just pinch. And now I've got this wonderful trumpeted floral. I can bring that forward so I've got all of my little elements inside. I've got that full 3D construct. If I want to, I can once again take my ball tool. Now I know that where everything is and start really, really trumpeting that out. And what I would do if I was you at home, I would start to do these differently on each one. Some of them use your pokey, some of them leave them closed. Florals are not identical. But can you see the depth and dimension of that as you get that pull?
You never see a flat flower, do you? So
well,
this is
never been in my garden. And then what I'm going to do is just take a calyx out of my little bag of tricks because I just want to give it that umph at the bottom. So I'm just going to place this. Now this has got, because it's got the point on it, you might find that you find it difficult to stick it down and for it to stay. Sharon Curtis, hello you beautiful
Hi,
human.
Sharon.
I just love the idea of creating 3D flowers with so much detail. They're gorgeous, right Sharon? So what I'm going to do here is take another ball tool, but I'm taking the smaller ball tool and I'm just going to poke it to the bottom of my floral. And that's going to flatten the bottom. Then I'm going to take some adhesive, chuck it in the middle. I can shape this, but there's no need for me to at the minute. I can do that with a pokey later because I'm only putting glue in the middle and I can choose. And then what I'm going to do is push the two together. The calyx will then start to cup around the floral. And then once that adhesion has hit properly, everything will be placed where it's meant to be. Okay, so we get this beautiful shaping out. And once that's done, you can, if you so wish, then take your pokey again and just pull those down so you've got an extra bit of detailed flourish there.
You're in your element with this, aren't you?
This is life, dude. This is what I do.
This is right.
This is what I do. This is me. I love paper. Paper sculpture is my game. Right, then we're going to take a little bit of wet glue. I'm just going to place this on. Remember, your applicators are your best friend. Please, please, please. If you've got a basket and it's sitting there and you've got free postage anyway, please, 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 pop some applicators in. You can reuse them. Get your everyday glue because it dries just at the right speed for these florals. These are pretty much your wondrous, helpful friends at this point.
How many layers for the stem again?
I'm going to do 2 on this one.
2.
You can do as many. You can do 1 if you want them to be a bit more floppy, or you can do 2, or you can do 3. Many as you like. How strong do you want it to be? What do you want it to do? What do you want it for? Because sometimes I want them to be, I want them to go over slightly. If I'm doing a bouquet of florals, what I don't want is 8 very structured florals standing up straight, because that's not what florals look like. If you look at a vase, you've got some that do droop, some that bend over with the weight of the flower head.
And different heights.
Different heights, and that's what we're playing with. Now, obviously, one of my stems was longer than the other, so I'm just going to trim a little bit.
And remember, the vignettes are going to be there tomorrow for you on the website carnationcrafts.co.uk, not today, okay? Today, the website's all about placing your order. Tomorrow, you can have the fun of printing off. And some of you may even get your order tomorrow. It has been known that Carnation send their kits and their collections out straight away. So some of you may get it tomorrow morning.
I think lots of you will.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually folding. I'm using the score line and my pokey. Can you see how I'm curling this instead of like folding it flat? I just want it to have a little curl on the front. I don't want to fold it flat, but you can. I like the shaping of it though when it's curled. So I'm just going to bring this forward. Now, as we go through demonstrations today, I'm not going to spend huge amounts on the flowers because it will take a long time, and I do want you to get some finished cards. But we will, each time we do it, do a different flower so that you see each flower by the end of today, by the end of tomorrow, you'll have seen each flower in construct. I think that's probably the fairest way of doing it for everybody. But now that I've got this, I can use my pivot head here and see how this is slightly thinner, so I can change them, I can bend them, I can manipulate them. Just the most incredible, mind-blowing collection you're going to play with, probably this, certainly until between now and Christmas, or certainly until Nick's ridiculous brain comes up with the next thing.
I mean, it never ceases to amaze me. Just when you think, well, what else can they do in the world of card making and crafting? And they come up with something like this.
And then Nick comes along and goes, hold my drink.
Yes.
Because he's a very, very funny human. Right, let me just see if I can find... Oh, there's that many layers to this.
What are you looking for?
These. I just want to show you, while I'm in my little box of tricks, some of the foliage that we get, because adding into a couple of these florals a little bit of foliage
makes all the difference.
You see? Now, changing the height of that will change the value point of the floral. Changing the bottom part will change the value, the value of the whole thing, really, because if you've got a lot of foliage down at the bottom, the floral heads at the top, that's gonna give one message. If you've got them all at the top, it's going to look very... I would never put them all at the top, by the way. You'll need a fill-in at the bottom if you're going to do that. It'll look funny, it'll look imbalanced, but you can do lots of different things.
The more random you make it, the more realistic it will look.
Dawn says, where did the white tab go when you made the flower? It's not a white tab when you make the flower. It's actually the stamen. I'm just making words up because I know nothing about flowers. Is that middle bit a stamen?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I call it.
It's the floof on the inside of the flower.
And it's connected to the flower. You just basically pop it in the centre.
It's just already there for you.
Yeah.
With the joy that is carnation. Let me just push this to one side. I'm going to construct. So I'm just going to place out here.
Now, Susan Kempster says, a silly question. No, it's not. She
There's
says,
never a silly question.
with the demo you're doing, could you put a very fine wire into the middle of the stems to give them more movement?
Yep.
You could?
Yep. Now, paper and wire. Wire bends, paper doesn't. So, it's really important that if you're going to put a piece of wire in, I think I'm just really unpleasantly hot at the minute and sweaty. I do apologise. Right, let me just touch you very quickly about paper and wire, because when we're doing paper sculpture, it's a really important lesson to learn. If you're going to use wire on paper, you're going to need a very thin florist wire, okay, very thin, and you're going to place it down, you're going to glue it. So I would use Carnation's Everyday Glue, put it down, and I would put my wire straight along that. You've then got to, honestly, it will save you a whole world of pain. You need to make sure there's still glue covering the whole of that, not just where you're putting the wire, and some on top, or glue the next piece as well and put them on top of each other. And then once that's done and they're glued together and the glue has dried and you've got your piece of wire running through it, take your fingernail, or you can use a pokey but be gentle. Where the wire sits inside, just run down with your nail so it protrudes. You've got a protrusion on the wire. That will allow the paper to stretch with the wire. If you don't do that, the paper will break. Your paper will it'll just rip, and you don't want that to happen. I hope that helps. That's what I've learned over the time, and it is one of those things. So we've now got the floral made, and I'm not going to make any more florals because demo time is obviously running out. But where did I put my wad jump? Here we go. Now I've got options. Where I've got this gorgeous halo card shape, do I have something at the front here, or do I turn it and have it at the back? Choices. Where do you want it to be? How do you want to balance it out? You could have them all at the back. It depends. But what we're going to do is take some grass. And I'm not going to do the full demo. I'm going to bring in more finished samples because it will take too long on demo. Let me just take that little bit out.
The thing is, you're going to have the fun building up your bouquet. You know, everyone will be different because you're being given the individual flowers, the individual components. Now you put that together, it's just like in a florist's. Depends on who actually arranges them. So each card, each ornament can be different.
So placing that through, so I've got grass, or grass, if you're not from Yorkshire.
You've lost your Yorkshire twang today.
I've never lost my Yorkshire twang. It's never far behind. I try desperately not to speak Yorkshire.
Why?
Because nobody can understand a word I say.
Oh, true.
And I've had, Miss Taz doesn't understand.
Taz can't understand you.
Because I have got the broadest Yorkshire accent. I don't think I've ever actually done my Yorkshire accent properly on television. I have got the broadest Yorkshire accent of anyone I've ever met other than my dad. So I don't use it. I purposefully avoid using it. One day I'll go full on northern for you. So I'm just going to place in. Now this is how we start to construct, okay? So we're going to add in floral after floral. We're going to build and just create the most gorgeous dimension. I could play with this for days and days. It's amazing
the difference the grasses make as well.
Yeah, because we're adding in height, you're adding in dimension. Let these poke through. I haven't got foliage on every flower. That's also going to create impact. Remember, everything is a visual cue, isn't it? So you've got all of these gorgeous, gorgeous elements that come through and sit on your card shape. So working out, where do you want things to be? How do you want them to be? What do you want to see? Where do you want to see it?
So do you recommend then cutting the flowers out, all the ones that you want, and then do the arranging all in one go rather than cut one, put it in the
entirely what makes you feel better. But I can give you one really good tip. When you're doing these, sit with a mirror in front of you. Work from the back and place and watch in the mirror where you're going, and you'll see it bloom. You'll see it all come with full construction on what you're making and how you're making it, because it's easier for you to piece from the back than it is from the front, but you need the visual of where you're going with it. So if you put a mirror in front of you, you can see exactly as you're constructing.
If you haven't got a mirror, can you use your tablet or your phone or something like that?
Yeah, of course, just a little camera. Judy Reynolds, full on Yorkshire, please. We love it. Honestly. I once had some people help me move house that were from Hull, and it was two guys, and Miss Taz had been looking after my cats. So she was in the house when they arrived, and she just kept turning around to me going, I don't understand a word they're saying, or I don't understand.
I was literally just smiling and nodding. He could have said anything.
She was like, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what they're saying. But it's very, very, because I'm from Hull, it's a very, very, well, I'm from Beverley, very, very broad accent. So you just keep piecing through, and we build, and you can add foliage and add different dimension, and it just becomes the most exquisite piece. Now, obviously, you're going to add in more florals, you're going to add in more foliage. I'm not going to do much more to this one because I just wanted you to have a real stint that when you get home you know exactly how you're going to play. But what I do want to do, and I think it's more valuable to you at this stage, is show you more DT samples, because they're already constructed, they're already incredible, they're exquisite.
I've got loads of them here, Carla.
Yeah.
Pam Simpson, just to give you other ideas as to how to construct and how to put these wonderful floral cards together. They don't have to be always on the halo base if you don't want them to be. The halo's been used as a fan. We could do one of those in here, couldn't we?
Yeah.
The fan has been, as you can see, they're kind of tucked and pinched to create that wonderful three-dimensional effect with that beautiful flower in the centre. But one of my favourites, I've got to go back to this, because this is using the halo as the base, but it's also using the halo as almost like a crown around the back. But remember, like Carla was saying and showing you, you've got those little points on the halo base which allows you to create a circular display, have that fantastic kind of coronet at the back. So it's all been thought through for you. It's quite stunning. And if you have a little look at the dies quickly, just so you can see exactly what you're getting a lot of metal, but the most important thing is you're getting a lot of design. The vignettes will be there tomorrow on the website carnationcrafts.co.uk. You can print them off anytime from tomorrow onwards, totally free of charge if you're buying the collection today. But look, there's your halo. There's all those incredible dies for all those amazing flowers. And down the bottom, you've then got your reaching high flower heads, and you've also got your cardettes, as Sue told us it was called. Card deck goes into your floral arrangement with a few little verses, and also the actual tags that you can put onto the post as well. The whole collection is brand new today. Didn't mention this earlier on, and it was remiss of me, sorry. It is exclusive to Carnation Crafts TV at the moment. You cannot get this anywhere else. So if you're buying it today, you're buying it on the release day, so you'd be one of the first people in the world to have this. And as I said at the beginning of the show, I've been doing crafting TV now for 20 years. I've never ever seen a collection like this where you can actually make realistic three-dimensional flowers like this today. It's always exciting to come to Carnation. Every month I just come for one day to do the launch of the new collection, never knowing what to expect until I get posts on social media and I think, ooh, that looks interesting. Came in today, Taz, Carla, both of them absolutely enthralled by this and saying, yes, you know, this is flying. It got a little bit of a sneak peek last night on Facebook, as it always does each month, and now well over 20%, we'll have an accurate update when we come off in a few minutes time, but well over 20% of a massive stock has gone. When they develop a collection like this, they've got an idea how popular it's going to be. The firm Carnation Crafts fans out there love this, but maybe you're a brand new Carnation crafter and you've never ever bought a Carnation Craft collection before. You're going to love this as well. Who doesn't love flowers? Flowers are appropriate for everything. They're never in fashion one minute and out of fashion the next. They're always appropriate. We've got the perfect papers. We've got those new layering dies as well. As Carla mentioned, don't forget the everyday glue and the everyday applicators as well. They're on the website if you want to take advantage of those, because they come into their own with this collection. They really do. Look at this. This is one of our favourites.
Yeah, I wanted to show you this because I think just in terms of using white backgrounds, in terms of using those beautiful nested that we've got today, with the construction of the florals, and it's really odd because when you look at these, and this is such a wonderful example, it doesn't have a name on it, so I do apologise to the wonderful DT member who made it. But when you look at this and you see how solid they are and how wonderfully constructed it is, you can see all the stamens sitting in here and how pretty they are, how wonderful, how the foliage works, how using different nested helps with different kind of card shapes for you. There's something incredibly important about this collection. It's about construction. It's about the fact that we're making something that isn't a flat card with an image that's, you know, just been printed and stuck on the front. Carnation are never gonna give you that. Carnation will always make you fly. That's what they are striving to do constantly, and they push us as crafters. But what they do is push us to work creatively, not to have to do things that we can't do. There's never anything that a beginner can't do with Carnation. But for those of us who have been crafting for years, there's this sudden, hang on, I can suddenly do a whole lot of new stuff that I couldn't do yesterday.
I think
that's
also,
what this is.
If you're a card maker, you're always looking for something different that's going to catch the eye of the person walking past your table if you're selling them, for example. Maybe you raise money for good causes with selling your cards. These are going to absolutely fly. They're flower arrangements, but in paper. And this is another easel card. The easel cards that Carla just showed you had those beautiful diamond nesting dies. Well, this is again from the same collection that we've got brand new in the show today. This is the hexagon nesting dies that have been used. Sue Dalrymple's done this using the flower as the actual stock for the easel card. Totally different to what Carla just showed you, but the same sort of concept and equally as beautiful. So you can make easel cards, you can make DL cards, you can make 7x7, 6x6, whatever you want to do. But equally then you can make flower arrangements like this, which is going to look as beautiful on a coffee table as it will do in a windowsill, on a display cabinet, wherever you want to put them. But remember, the secret is that they're not white on the back. If you only had coloured flowers on the front, it would just look awful. It wouldn't look right. But because you've got access to those double-sided vignettes, you've got just as much beauty from the side, from the back of the piece, as you have, just like you would do with normal flowers. So it is something groundbreaking, I think, today, and very, very different and very, very popular. What have you got there, Carla?
I got to tell you, these look really lovely in a vase as well.
Yeah.
So mix them up and put them on a vase. It's a lovely place to be. I've got two more to show you that I want to show you before we close the show, if that's okay. This one, which I think just in its absolute simplicity is stunning. Bringing in the pinks together from those, you know, perfect papers at the back to that stunning, stunning peony. Is it a peony?
I reckon it's a peony.
I was going to say rose, but it's a flower. Just absolutely gorgeous. Use those corners when you're bringing in your nested and you've got the extra small ones. See how we build those panels that allow it. Now, one of the other ones I want to show you is one of my favorite, and the reason it's one of my favorite is because of the color choice, the way the colors have been built. So this, where you look at it and you've got your pinks and your purples, see how they work in kind of beautiful chaos with that white at the back, and then you've got all the construct. The depth of that is extraordinary.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And that is a really beautiful sweep around an oval, using the two ovals as your different shapes, and taking care then when you're using your labels to bring in that curvature as well, because that'll just match out your oval shaping at the back. I've got to tell you, value wise, this is going to be one of your best friends, this whole collection, because you're going to use it again, and this isn't ever going out of fashion. But also, aren't you going to be able to use your other florals too, that you've previously had in previous collections?
Totally.
I think there's probably a way of making that work.
Wow, what a launch. I mean, I'm only here one day a month, but it's always for the launch, usually the first or second Monday of each month. I always look forward to it. It's one of the highlights of the month, and this collection has just blown me away. It's so different, it's so unusual, and you're going to have so much fun with it, and the stock is going incredibly quickly. We have got more shows at 11 and another one at 1 o'clock this afternoon, where Carla will give you more inspiration, more demonstrations, how to build the flowers and put them together. But if you want to get yours today, you can pay in full, obviously with a debit or a credit card. If you'd rather use PayPal Pay in 3, you can do. That would be PayPal Pay in 3, that would be $32.99. If you wanted Clear Pay, it's 4 payments, that's $24.75 interest-free over those 4 payments, or you can pay in full if you'd like to. Remember, it's CCFE10 to get that 10% discount, and that takes the price down to under £100. It's $98.99 if you use that discount code, otherwise it will be $109.99. Order now. We'll see you back here live at 11. We're going to go for a quick cup of coffee, aren't we, Phil, on Yorkshire?
Aye.
See you soon.